You, hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Are you tired of the same old podcasts with the same old panels and the same old rhetoric? So am I. So come spend time with me, where you can have a laugh, be entertained, and learn something. I'm your host, Nova, and welcome to School of Thought. Class is in session. Hey, everybody out there. We have an interesting show coming up tonight with a great guest, an unusual topic. We are looking at single mothers, but not in the normal realm. We are looking at single mothers who have been not just divorced and entered the manosphere, but why we have gotten to that point. Excuse me, I'm still sick. I'm getting over it though. I'm going to read off a couple of stats to get things started. And we want to make sure everything is nice and lighthearted tonight, nothing too serious. But I'm totally excited for Sarah, the Raging Tomato, and her community is going to be here. And she is a wonderful guest with lots of insights. And we're going to hear about her story and her journey to becoming a single mother. In the meantime, let's take a look at some of the topics at hand. So if we're going to look at the red pill and the manosphere terms, they think everything is monolithic, and it's all about the fault of the woman. That is saying it's your fault for picking the wrong man, your fault for not making it work. It's the woman's fault for being a single mother and the end result. But reality is people change. Things happen. Finances come and go. People cheat. People become abusive. And that even includes neglect, something that is rarely ever touched on. Children even enter the picture, and that changes the dynamic. Also, that can also cause problems in a marriage. It can actually separate if the unit between the man and the woman isn't tight enough. The children can cause disruption. But then there's also abuse in that realm also. But anyways, so do you know why more women file for divorce than men? Because women know murder is illegal. Anyways, other reasons for divorce, when we're looking at the stats that are going on here in America, I've even looked at some of them in the UK, which I found astoundingly, they're about the same. If you looked at the manosphere, they would say women with their education and their possibilities inside of the workforce, giving them too much independence and freedom and the ability to make money, seem to be a problem for a lot of them. And that keeps women and people in general trapped. When there's no wealth or there's no money, people cannot get out of situations. That's just the reality. Even in impoverished areas, it works that way, the same way. So you would look at that and they would say, well, you just take away their ability to work, you take away their ability to get wealth, and the next thing you know, you can keep them trapped inside the home. Well, that sounds like a slave. That sounds like a taskmaster to me. But according to these stats, because women are able to make money if the marriage is not living up to their expectations. And from what I'm looking at, the expectations really isn't all that high. It's just kind of like, I'm doing this. Can you help me out kind of a thing. That is part of where they're getting the ability to file for a divorce and then be able to take care of themselves. I'm looking also at the stats where it says that, unfortunately, and I've heard this before, tossed around on YouTube, that men benefit more from marriage than women do. And women become more or less kind of like an in-home housekeeper without a whole lot of benefit to it. So men's life, oddly enough, without any judgment, I'm just going over the stats. It says the men's lives will average out longer. They're happier. But their participation in the home, from what I'm looking at, is a lot less. According to these stats, one of the number one complaints coming from women, when we're looking at marriage and the women are about 70% filing the most, it's not listing what the reasons are, unfortunately. And so what I'm seeing is that the overall tone of it is that women are unhappy in the home because they are not only just working, but they're also working in the house nonstop. And there's also no participation or very little participation with the children in the home. So that's a whole lot of stress and a whole lot of demand on just one person. And then the man, according to what they're saying on here, the husbands are just basically coming home from work and then they don't participate in any of the daily living, which me and my father, when we would talk about it, would be called the daily grind and the monthly nut to pay all of the bills and to take care of things that need to get done in the home. So so those are the number one overall consensus on what is going on in the divorce realm and in the marriages today, affecting both the UK and America. Other reasons from, say, attorneys are infidelity. I'm listing off what they've got from attorneys, divorce attorneys, mind you, not my own. Spouse unresponsive to others' needs. One spouse grew tired of making the marriage work. One spouse thought the other was immature. Unfortunately, one spouse felt he or she was being emotionally abused or neglected, I would imagine. Spouses had different financial priorities or spending habits. Alcohol and drug abuse by one spouse, possibly two. One spouse found out unknown revelations from the other's past. Ooh, I guess we should all talk about those skeletons in our closets, just in case they might make a reemergence. One or both spouses felt they married too young. I wouldn't say that's the case, considering in America, people used to get married about the age of 15 and have kids by 16, 17, and 18 and be working on the farms in other institutions and industries in America. One spouse physically abused the other. One spouse's career became family. I wonder if that's a typo. There was insurmountable cultural or religious differences between the spouses, which is also a big thing. One or both spouses had problems with the other's family, or one spouse was addicted to pornography. Now, that's a new phenomenon that has been sweeping in our current culture, and it is growing by epidemic proportions, which we don't necessarily have to get into that, but it is becoming a problem in relationships in general. So we are going to bring Sarah on, and we're going to listen to her journey that led to divorce and what her reasons were. And of course, I will bip in and out on that. And we are going to have a good time tonight because Sarah is a lot of fun. Let's go. Hey, Sarah. I don't hear you.
Damn it. I always forget.
I am so sorry. I didn't know it would mute automatically. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. That was a very sweet intro. I like that.
Oh,
Sarah is fun.
I am so tired.
I feel you. I feel you on that. I feel like I've, been streaming a lot this week because between no kids and having a holiday on work,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, maybe I should go to bed.
I know. I only got 4 hours of sleep, and I'm like going, I hope I don't start stuttering like a stuttering mess, And I had a salad earlier, that was very substantial there.
Yeah, that's really gonna get you through the rest of the night.
It totally is. So here we go. I'm going to start a small list of questions. We're going to have fun with some of these questions. And my first one is, what kind of panties are you wearing and what color? We're going to do this for all the male viewers out there.
Definitely my granny panties.
Really?
The regular kind. Nah, I mean, only when I need to. Yeah. Or if the occasion calls for it. But
Gotcha.
Granny panty style, black with white polka dots. Easy peasy.
Very nice. I am going commando at the moment.
Understand how people
Going back to my old dancer days. When you're a dancer on stage, you're not allowed to wear underwear. Did you know that?
On stage?
Yes, you can't wear underwear because you can see it through your leotard and whatever your costume you're wearing.
Yeah. I was thinking another kind of dancer. I'm like,
no.
I did dancer, not like.
I never did the bump and grind. No.
I don't see nothing wrong.
Yeah, I know,
No,
right? Are you
yes, I do know that does make
I'm your
sense.
private
Yes.
dancer,
Oh,
dancing for money. All right.
do what you
Here's
want me
another
to do.
question. Do the carpets match the drapes?
No,
No?
no, I am like only blonde from here up.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's natural. I can't explain the phenomenon. But it like my eyebrow color, like this is
yeah.
my natural eyebrow color, and everything follows suit.
You have some
But
nice eyebrows.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
Most
I
people make fun
overplucked
of them.
mine.
But no, like I was born with white hair, or not like with white hair, but like I was a towhead, where I was just very, very blonde. But everything else just darkened up on the way. So I don't know.
Yeah, my biological mom is super blonde, super
Hmm.
fair, with super light colored blue eyes, and I came out with pretty blonde hair, and then when puberty hit, boom, it get really dark really quick.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
carpets
like
match the drapes for me.
even like okay, like even if I don't shave my legs for a day,
Yeah,
I consider myself to have the 5 o'clock shadow on my legs, like a man would have on his face, because I have
yeah.
such dark leg hairs. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, man, I'm blonde. Like, how am I not blonde? You know,
Well, at least a light color,
or a lighter color, but it's
Yeah,
like it goes straight into 5 o'clock shadow. Yeah.
gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. My last special question, do you have any special talents, like can you twist cherry stems into a knot with your tongue or any other things that you can do?
Oh, there was something I actually used to have an answer to this. What was it? There's something that, oh, you know what? It was always the most like, what's the most interesting thing about you, or something? Or tell me something interesting. But talents, like, I don't know. I don't think I have any that would be like funny and goofy. Or, I
Just
mean, I
any
like to sing. I was a dancer for years. Like, I did ballet
Oh,
and all of that for
okay.
years. I mean,
So
grew
we
up
have
on
that in
stage.
common.
Yeah, I'm not like a great piano player or guitar player, but I have them and I like to indulge in it from time to time.
Which one do you play?
Um,
Which guitar?
oh,
Fiddler?
acoustic.
I play bass.
Oh, we could start a band.
We could start a band, girl.
Um, but I don't know. I don't think there's anything like special I could like do right on the spot, or at least not that I can think of.
I can't do anything special either. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I would one thing that I always love doing if I'm at like a bar and it's like they go into DJ mode and everybody's dancing, and then when people start doing those like where they get in a circle and like somebody goes to the center and somebody tries to show somebody up and like have a
Mhm.
dance war, I just like drop into a split and it just
Oh,
shuts everybody up. Yeah, and I'm just like,
you can still drop a split, girl? That's awesome. I can
yeah.
also still do that. I can't do the Van Damme move anymore since my injury. I used to. We have 2 chairs and you can do the splits on the chairs. Oh yeah. I used to do the flip from my back and oh yeah. I did
Oh, and then like
gymnastics.
drop into a split.
Yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's that one. I don't know if we could try it. We could do a whole stream for trying it, and
Okay. Let's
you
not break
know,
a hip.
I might, I
I
might,
might too. Let's
I
have the
might.
paramedics on standby before I try that.
Oh goodness, I might. Like my spine has had enough, so I think I've herniated and bulged enough discs and broken enough tailbones to last a lifetime. So
Oh, you too,
you
huh?
know, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like a dancer thing? Because
Yes.
I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of this stemmed from I mean, you have so much core work that you do, especially in ballet. It's all core,
Mhm.
and I feel like in hindsight, maybe that actually caused me to kind of be more vulnerable to injury and things like that going forward, because
Yes.
your spine is just like, hey, we've kind of taken a beating for the last 18 years,
Yeah,
19
pretty
years
much.
maybe.
Mhm.
Could you just like not anymore? That's what I feel like my body tells me all the time. Could we just, we're done, right? This is over with.
Lack of collagen circulating. Need some
I'll never forget.
collagen.
I think I was like 11 years old, and my hips, maybe you would call that a talent, but my hips, I can pop them in and out of socket. Pretty
Oh,
interesting. Like,
God.
this would be where I'd take your hand and I'd put it on my hip and I'd start popping it in, and you'll be like, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so maybe that'll be my hidden talent. But I remember seeing a doctor when I was like maybe 11 or 12 years old. And I remember this one specific thing that he said: you have the body of like a 36-year-old professional athlete. Like,
Why?
because I was between dance, between sports. Like, I was always, like, my body was literally my tool,
Yeah.
and I was always utilizing and between dancing and soccer and softball and running and whatever, like all of these different things just started piling onto my body, that my body's like, hey,
Oh my goodness.
we can't. But I kept going because I loved it, So I think that in hindsight, and I think I read somewhere actually that when parents, and my parents didn't push me by any means. I loved all of the things I did. I wanted to do them. But when kids are like kind of pushed and doing too many sports, like
Mhm.
there can be too much for their growing bodies.
Yeah, it's too much stress
Yeah,
on the body.
a lot of trauma, a lot of physical, things going on. So I think that that's kind of a piece of it. So now I'm 37, and my spine says no.
Slow down before we sit in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time in physical therapy.
Yes, as have I was quite the trickster growing up. If I wasn't doing sports, then I was thinking I could walk a tightrope and, do some weird stuff on trampolines. And my God, I really wanted to fly through the air on a trapeze, So
Mhm.
it's just like I was hell on wheels on everything. And, if I got really injured, and I did on numerous occasions, they just kind of look at me like, she's pretty young. We don't really need to go to the doctor that much.
Right, right.
Grandma, grandpa stuff, she's fine. She'll live. Just let her sit there for a little bit. That was my experience growing up. I lived through most of them. When I was a dancer, I went through all the traditional stuff: ballet, jazz, modern, you name it. But then when I went into hip hop, that became my first love. I no longer had to tie my boobs down. I no longer had to, they would still tell you, hey, don't eat that, but it wasn't as bad.
Mm-hmm.
You could eat something occasionally. And I gravitated towards the powerhouse of it all, So, and my aim was to be a video girl. And then, my God, I was doing something and I was on stage and I did this fly thing. And when I landed, I felt my knee pop. And that was it, baby. I tore my meniscus from the impact. Yes. And then I waited.
Is there a recovery?
Yeah. No, because it left fragments in there. And it was rubbing with constant swelling and stuff. And so they were like, well, you could just wait it out and see how it gets. And I was like, I know if I do surgery, I will be donezo. Because the minute you do surgery, you're done as an athlete.
Yeah.
I waited 6 years before I had that done.
Yeah, you pushed.
I did. I was waiting. And then I found out about prolotherapy after I had orthoscopic. If I had done the prolotherapy before the orthoscopic, I would have healed all the way and would have went right back to it.
What is are you saying prolotherapy?
Yeah, prolotherapy. It's kind of like a low-end introductory to stem cell. And what they do is they pull. I'm going to do a whole thing on health, by the way, because I'm pretty dialed in.
It sounds like it's going to be gross.
It's pretty gross. They take a good amount of your own blood. They put it in a sindular. They spin the platelets and they separate it. And then they take it with these long, I'm telling you, man, these needles were like this long, about a foot long. And they go right in between each bone, each joint, each ligament, and you can feel it. If you can't handle pain, and I can handle pain, baby, but man, I was like, I'm going to freaking pass out. And I did one time. I've had about 10 treatments of this, and they did my knee on numerous occasions, and I went from not being able to wear heels and ride a bike and going up hills.
Yeah.
I can do all that stuff now. No problem at all. So if I had done that, then it would have been a much better situation, unfortunately. So now it's stem cell. Stem cell is the new big one, but we'll save that for another conversation. But
That hurts.
yeah, oh my God, it hurts so bad. I should have, you know what I should have done? If I had known we were going to talk about this, I would have brought pictures.
No.
Yes,
No,
and I had a video too.
I will vomit everywhere. I already have it set in my head, and I'm trying to avoid the idea of what it looks like, and I don't want to know. I don't
Yeah,
want to know.
but if you ever need to do something, do that. Don't get surgery. It'll take care of it. Unless it's completely detached, unless something's detached, it will take care of it. So it's wonderful. All right. So you ready for some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. And I will
jump. Little intro questions. I like them.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are fun.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so before you got married, what was your life like prior to getting the old ball and chain? So we can do the setup and then, waltz through to the end,
Well, technically I was already a single mom before I became a single mom again.
Okay.
So I had the bratty tomato, my daughter. I had her, I was 22 when I had her, 21 when I got pregnant, 22 when I had her. So I was already kind of a young buck. Now, thankfully, I didn't feel like I had any oats to sow at that time. Like I kind of already got everything out of my system before that. So it kind of worked out in my favor that the world just kind of turned the right way. But I had her. I was already going to school, and I was already working on working on my career path. But I was bartending, 3-4 days a week. I was going to school 3-4 days a week, and then and I had my daughter, and I was single mom rocking it for about 4 years before my husband and I, or my ex-husband and I, started dating. And it was pretty, it was pretty subtle. Like I was very focused. I was very driven. I had a goal and I had things to do. So I wasn't really doing a whole lot of dating per se like that, but minorly, I would say. But I was so busy and just so incredibly focused between her career and school that I didn't have a lot of wiggle room or time to give anywhere else.
Yeah, to be dating and doing a whole lot of things. May I ask what you went to school for?
I got my associates in what was that one? Paralegal studies. I got my bachelor's in jurisprudence, and then I got my master's, the end all be all, in legal and ethical studies. So
wow. So you're smart.
No, I'm not smart, but I am very well versed in the art of, arguing a point, especially in essay form.
Got you. Well, I'm impressed. I had no idea. And that's quite the accomplishment.
Thank you. It took me a long time to get there because obviously I had my daughter. Actually, I got pregnant with my daughter I think a couple months after I started school, maybe. Started my first semester ever. And I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. We're going to do this. And then I was found out I was pregnant. I'm like, why? But everything has its reason. God knew that I needed my little fire lit to keep me going because he knew I would get bored with school, but he knew I needed to finish it because I cannot let things be unrest. So, my daughter, literally was the fire that kept me going. She was the reason I continued and pushed forward every next semester after that. So
that's a great reason to keep going as your kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that carried over into my marriage. I started working on my bachelor's by the time it took me I think 10 years maybe from start to finish because I could only go part-time and I could only afford part-time, go to school. So I only did what I could afford in time and money. By the time I started my bachelor's, I was able to tap into my GI Bill, which helped a lot, but I was also married by the time I started my bachelor's. So, but it took me a long time. It's forever.
Wow. Would you say it was difficult I mean, obviously you were very short on time, but would you say it was difficult for you to start dating because you had kids? Because I hear men all the time, oh, you don't want to date a single mom. You don't want to do that, which I think is kind of BS. But, you know, did you encounter any of that?
No, honestly, it was more suitors knocking at the door and me just not willing to answer because I was too focused. I mean, certainly I did date, but it just wasn't my focal point. So many tried and many couldn't even get me to even open the door to say hello. So, no, there was absolutely no issues in dating. I think honestly,
Much for that stigma, huh?
right, it was not an issue whatsoever. I was 22, 23. Well, I probably didn't start really dating for a while until it was a while until I really started dating. But I was in my early 20s. I was cute and adorable,
Yeah.
and I just so happened to have a kid. But I never had issues with getting the attraction to me or men wanting to date me or things like that. That was just never an issue. So yeah.
So the world was still your oyster.
It was.
Yeah.
I felt like it actually got larger.
Yeah.
It got larger because the more you turn away, the more seems to keep banging on the door. I don't know how that works, but
I know. And then when you want something, it never comes.
It always shows up. I don't know. It's weird. But I think having a daughter actually kind of saved me in that aspect because it helped me be more selective and more filtered and more careful. And, I just wasn't willing to put myself out there to date just anybody per se.
Yeah.
I feel like I dated a lot of great men when I did, and I had a lot of great relationships. But I think a lot of that has contributed to the idea that I did have a kid, and they already got to see me in that light, of being a mom and a girlfriend at the same time. And they get this sneak preview of is she going to be a good mom?
Yeah, I know. Right. Because that's
Mhm.
part of the benefits. And when you do get with a single mom is they get to see how good of a mother that you are and a potential partner that
Yeah.
you're going to be to them. But people don't necessarily look at it that way. They look at all of the negatives first before they get to the person and look at the positives.
Yeah. Well, a stigma comes with being a single mom. I mean,
course.
you're automatically assumed to be some moron because you made a boo-boo once and you got pregnant. Things happen, whatever. But
that's life.
To me, the stigma should belong only on those people that don't learn from it, right? If you're still continuing to make the same mistake over and over again, then yeah, you are a moron. But
yeah, pretty much.
I had my daughter. And to me, I was like, never will I do this again. I don't ever want to be in an instance where I'm not with the father. And, so the next child I had, I was married. I did it all, everything the right way I should have done the first time.
Did I lose?
Oh, I think did you froze?
I think I froze. I think that was me.
Yeah,
I was like, did I lose connection?
Uh-oh.
Oops, I'm so sorry. What did you say right there?
Oh, I said, I had learned from my mistake because the next child I had was after I got married. I married my husband and I did everything the right way I should have done, initially the first time. But I mean, it worked out very well, in regards of, learning my lesson from having one child outside of wedlock to, okay, I've learned and I'm not going to do this again until X, Y, and Z. So, yeah.
Yeah, you matured.
Mm-hmm.
And things work out when people mature in general, as far as I've noticed.
Yeah. Typically.
Yeah, when I was that age, I was focusing on my entertainment career, and then I had to step in and help my grandparents who raised me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do the marriage thing until later, and then the child came after. So I did it traditionally what you would say was the right way also.
Yeah, that happens.
But we'll get to my side as we talk about yours. We'll compare notes. Anyways, so let's go to the next question. And how were things when you first got married? Were you living the dream? Was it like a dream?
Yeah, I mean, it was more than I could have ever asked for, to be quite honest. As soon as he proposed, like we were, I think he proposed in April, and then by June, my daughter and I were moved in, and by July or August, I think, he had me stop working. Like I was, he was like, be a stay-at-home mom. We got pregnant with my son, got married, and all of those things. And he, because of his job, it financially inevitably worked out better anyways that I stayed at home. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty good as far as being a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom, grand suburbia lifestyle that you could imagine, to that. It was nice. I got to go to the gym during the day. I got to be a mom to my kids. I got to show up to all the school activities and focus on that. I got to volunteer at the school. I got to do all those things you see on, it was like a Hallmark picturesque almost, in a sense.
That sounds very ideal. I had to work through most of mine.
Oh, I think you froze again for a
Oh
second.
my gosh, why am I freezing so much?
It happens. I've noticed that happens, every now and then on mine sometimes. And we just got to take it for what it is.
I don't even know if what I said came through. Bandit had a great question. He said, what lessons did you learn being, the chat keeps moving. What lessons did you learn being a single parent that has made you stronger as a person?
Abstinence.
Absolutely.
You don't have to screw everybody you meet, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay. Hold off. And the biggest one thing I learned was, if you're going to do the deed with somebody, make sure it's somebody that you are willing to raise a child with. You have to make sure of that. If you don't have that down, then and I'm not saying that maybe you'll get lucky and nothing happens, but if it does, you have to be willing to invest the rest of your life paired up with that person to raise a child, because it goes beyond 18 years. Like, we all know that. We're not stupid. So recognize that, choose wisely. If you're not willing to take that risk and have a baby with them and raise a child for the next 16 years, then keep it in your pants.
I agree with you. Vet better.
Ask
questions.
Yeah.
Don't just go for the love feeling. It's not all warm and fuzzy.
Seriously. So
I agree with you on that. And let's get into more of the deeper side of it. What are the dirty details of what had happened that led to the divorce?
Oh, I mean, it wasn't really too dirty, I mean, and I kind of spoke to this on my stream the other day. He wasn't a terrible person or a horrible man or anything like that. He had his flaws, just like any person does. But he chose to not keep it in his pants with other people, and that was a really big problem for me. We tried to work through a lot of it. I tried to make it better. I tried to do anything I could as the little wifey, please can we, what, but I had a big issue with that. That was a big principal issue for me because of our marriage and our vows and everything that I walked into our marriage believing. And if he didn't recognize it the same way I did, then I was like, well, then we're not married. We're not married if you're not taking the vows seriously, then I can't either. It's null and void.
I agree with you on that. Seeing that falls under the whole infidelity issues that the attorneys are listing off as part of the
I heard that one. Yeah. And that was, and it wasn't just he did it once, that. Not to say I'd be like, oh, yeah, let me just forgive you. Let's move on. Everything's okay. But the fact that it was again and again and again and again and again.
Oh, mercy.
And it's like at what point do I lose all my self-respect and allow this to continue, especially after I've begged, I've pleaded, I've asked, I've tried to fix it. I've, or at least asked you to fix it, or I've asked you, what can we do to make it better? What can I do to help you, not do this,
Yeah.
And if you're not giving me solutions and we can't resolve this going forward, and you're just going to do it again, then, the definition of insanity. It's not
Yeah,
working for me.
you sound like me, where you're trying to do everything you can to please somebody so that way they feel fulfilled enough that they don't have that necessary need to go and venture out. I'm sorry to hear that.
And I'm like not sorry. You know what I mean? I believe God has a plan for everything, and and I am grateful for my husband, right? Because we got married, like I was able to finish my education without the financial burden of like worrying about home life, paying my rent,
Yeah.
those things. I was able to focus on my daughter and my son and my stepson. Like we were able to focus on all of these things, and I was able to just be a mom and be a student and not be a mom, student, and an employee. So I am very grateful because it was the exact thing that I needed at the time. And he was able to provide that for me willingly and lovingly, in that effect. And he was a full supporter of it. So having somebody standing behind me and pushing me to continue on and finish and all of those things, that's a big, big piece of why people do or do not succeed. So he was a good partner and a good support, like a support partner for that. And that you can't just buy that anywhere. You can't just find that type of person anywhere.
No, you can't.
And he gave me my son too,
Yeah.
So
Like it's not everything is all bad, but then when it starts to get bad, it certainly accumulates very quickly. Would you say that the infidelity issues happened almost immediately, or is it a protracted period of time?
Oh man. So I found out pretty quickly that it was happening even up like a couple nights before our marriage, a couple
Oh,
nights or
wow.
like after we got back from the honeymoon, and it just kept going and going. So to me, it probably was just a personal problem for him. I don't think it was a me thing. I don't like
No, it's
looking
not a you thing.
hindsight, and that's something that he kind of told me was like, it's like, there's nothing to do with you. But I mean, you're still going to feel that. You're going to still feel unworthy. You're going to still feel less about yourself. Like,
Yes.
what are all of these girls doing that I'm not? Like, I've tried every move. I've done everything.
Oh, I've been there. I understand.
Yeah, it hurts. It really hurts.
does.
You lose your self-esteem. You lose your self-worth. You think that your value is now less than, because if this is my husband and even my husband doesn't value me and respect me, then why would anybody else? So that like really hurt in that direction. But it was, I found out really, really early. And then like there, like the nail that, what's the one that closed the coffin or whatever that saying is, was like a year, I think it was a year in. And it just destroyed me because of what was done, how it was done, and everything that led up to that moment. And I was like, that was the official like betrayal, like that freaking hurt horribly. And that was the one that just changed the entire dynamics of our marriage going forward. And that was only year one.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any indication before you got married that was going to be a problem?
No,
Wow.
I remember telling Ashley, actually, my friend, not your everyday Ashley, because we've been friends for like 18 years, but I remember telling her, I remember saying to her, he's the one man that I know will never hurt me. Never hurt me. And for me to go into a marriage believing that, like, this is the man that will never hurt me no matter what, like, and I respected him and I cared about him and all of these things. And I just kept thinking, like, he'll never hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oof.
Yeah.
So then I feel stupid. Now I feel fooled. Like, is my instincts, like, are my instincts completely off? Do I have a bad radar for this? Like, what did I miss? And hindsight's 2020, but I still could never find any indication that would have led me to believe that any of this would have happened. Nothing.
It's been my experience that if people want to fool you, they will.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they give you, male or female, they'll give you the nice guy, nice girl routine until they've got you. And then the mask starts to come on. And the bottom line is, if somebody wants to fool you hard enough, they pretty much can. And it's pretty hard to figure out all of those intricate details, and get to the bottom of that, especially if there's not a whole lot of track record or anybody who will come up and say, hey, this person does such and such. And, take some of that with a grain of salt also, because people get jealous and they want to destroy things anyways. So I understand how you feel about that. The chat asked, was your husband a Chad?
I thought he was pretty hot.
She's like, he was hot.
He's a good looking guy. I mean, I don't know what other women's perspectives would be. Well, I mean, if he's able to get it that easily, I guess he had to be somewhat good looking. But no, I mean, he's a good looking guy. Definitely a good looking guy.
Well, I don't know. If you could find a groupie in a bar hoe anywhere, to be quite frank, yeah, it doesn't really take all that much. Good time Sally's.
Yeah.
For me, there was substance abuse on my significant other side. Yeah. And there was violence, and there's lots of neglect, and there's been some infidelity issues. And so I completely understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's like I would have rather him just left me and broke my heart that way.
Yeah.
Than to be with me, tell me things, and then betray me and go the other direction. Yeah.
So he's lying to you all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, pathological. Did he ever get help or anything like this? Did you guys ever go to therapy?
We tried a lot of different avenues. We started with our church, and then I moved into actually hypnotherapy, like kind of like hypnosis, to try to work through, because this one like crumbled me, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Like I just lost everything of who I was completely in one blow. And so I tried hypnotherapy for a couple years and paired that with like going to the gym and like getting into hobbies and like really focusing on my education. Like I have to distract my mind so that I don't sift in emotions sometimes. But in order to allow myself the time to sift through those emotions, because you have to sit with them, right?
Yeah.
But I had to do it in a structured format that would help me really piece it together and see what's going on, for me, and to ensure that one great thing I've always, I learned a long time ago was if you're going through trauma, the best way to manage any type of trauma is to handle it as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Nice. So putting myself in like hypnotherapy helped me kind of like ease the blow, as it was happening, so that instead of like 10 years later, I'm like, I'm so sad, like I'm not going to do that, like I
wallow with it and it festers.
Right. I worked through it while I was going through it. And I think that was kind of the best work I could have done for myself, because now I'm able to talk. Like, I'm not sad about it. I'm not heartbroken anymore. Like when we divorced, like when he moved out, it was like a sigh of relief.
Ooh.
Like, oh, okay, we're done. It was a sigh of I wasn't sad. I wasn't heartbroken. I had already done the work. And I forgave him. Like I felt like I gave him like that. Like I remember one time he'd asked me when we were sitting there, because we still lived together for 1 year while we were trying to divorce still before we separated. And he sat there and he asked me, he said, how can you just so freely like do all of this and work through this, like without emotions? You're not getting upset. You're doing all of these things. How can you just move on from me like that? And I said, because I forgave you.
Mm.
That's it. I forgave you. You don't hurt me anymore. I forgive you, and it is what it is. Like, but I can't change it, but I can forgive you.
Do you feel like he tried to fight for you to keep you?
Oh yeah, he tried to fight to get me to stay and all of those things, but I said, like my response was, you've had 10 years to do this. You've had 10 years to fix it. And every time we would try fixing it and getting somewhere, like you'd go and do something again, so to me, if somebody truly cherished you and appreciated you, you wouldn't have to leave for them to miss you or wish they fixed it or all of those. You wouldn't have to leave to make them appreciate you.
Yes.
They should appreciate the idea of, I never want you to have a reason to go.
I agree with you on that. Do you think when he was trying to keep you, it was more for the comfort of what already was there and it was the ease of it being there, or because he actually loved you?
I mean, I know he loved me, and I know I definitely loved him. Like, I don't deny any of those thoughts for the both of us. But I think when he was trying to get me back, I think part of it was the idea of, it's a scary world out there. And he is older than me. So he's 16 years. Yeah, he's 16 years older than me. So, I'm 37. So that should let you kind of do the math there.
Yeah.
But at his, like, I was supposed to be his forever. Like, I was the forever plan, so now it's a scary idea when your plan that you have created in your head and your idea of forever walks away from you.
Oh yeah. Especially when you're that much older and you've got the prize on the arm and she's younger, and then you're still pulling didos on the side like that. How old were you? What? Tell me.
Actually, I like this you say that, actually, because his lawyer kind of chuckled at this. But a piece of it was, before you even go into the courthouse, right, they ask you, your lawyer sits and asks you these pre-qualifying questions to ensure you can get a divorce that day. And the judge will ask you the same thing. And one of those things was, have you ever had, have you ever, in the last year of separation, have you done the deed? Have you done anything that would imply like being together, physical stuff, to that nature? And he actually told his lawyer, she held my hand once. She held my hand. It was a few months ago. She held my hand. and my lawyer comes back to me and she's like, what have you done to this man that he's begging to not get a divorce today? And I was like, what? And she's explaining to me how he had said that to his lawyer, and his lawyer told my lawyer, she's like, well, when he told me that, I explained to him that that's not sufficient. It was actually, my son had made us hold hands together at like an event, like one of the kids' events. He put our hands together, and you appease the child for that moment while the child is holding your hands together, but once he lets go, you let go. But like, he tried to use that as an example, but I guess his lawyer was like, I realized what was going on and why he was trying so hard when I saw their age difference on the paperwork. I realized, like, this makes sense.
Wow. He
doesn't want her to go.
Yeah, he was still smitten with you.
Mm-hmm. I think part of it's pride. It's you're losing something, but again, he is a lot older and like he would have to start all over again. Not to say that there's not hope. I'm sure he'll do well, but you brought up an interesting point, because they, in the manosphere, men's world,
different areas like to say that women prefer older men and they are much better providers and they're all this and all that. And I had nothing but much older men chasing after me. And I went on a date one time with this studio engineer guy. And he was 6'3" from Canada, triple black belt. He was fine. Okay. He was fine. But when we went out on a date and he's talking to me and he's blah, 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 nonstop, that we had nothing in common. I was too young. I was 20, I just turned 21. We had nothing in common. I had nothing to talk to him really about. And the whole time I'm like going, I'm too young for this guy. What am I doing? So would you say that you think that older men are a preference? Would you say that that was a preference, or that's just kind of what had happened? Was that what you were looking for?
That was my style, actually.
Oh,
He
okay.
wasn't the oldest man I had ever dated. I mean, I've dated several other men with, more than 16 years between us. It was definitely my preference. I couldn't tolerate guys my own age. Even when I was in my 20s, I hated 20-year-old men. I couldn't stand the immaturity, the stupidity, just stupid stuff that they do when they're out and about. And it's an ick for me,
Yes.
to be immature. Not to say that all men and all 20 somethings are immature. I do think there are those few and far who are more mature and can handle relationships and carry themselves much better. But at that age, it was just, for me, I preferred an older man. They were easier to have conversations with, to have intellectual conversations with. They were more logical. They treated me the way that I preferred to be treated, and they were kind and just mature. They weren't out doing stupid stuff. They weren't out getting trashed and, have a stool and a mattress in a bedroom, and the TV,
living in the back of the van.
I mean,
By the river.
that I never judged that. That wasn't an issue for me, but don't act like you're ready for a relationship if you don't even have your own self sorted out, right? So it was just the maturity level, and I couldn't stand the way they talked. And the way they talked, the 20 somethings, the way they talked to me and the way they presumed. And I was just ooh, no, stop it. But the way a gentleman would speak to me and treat me was very, very different. And I had that preference, the way I was treated.
Well, you definitely had a jolt more in maturity with having a kid. Also,
that might have been another piece. But I was already like that from the get-go. I remember I was 17, dating a 23-year-old, and that was already a kind of, at that age, that's a jump. But then by the time I was 18, it was 30 and up. It's just, actually it's 35 and up. I couldn't even stand the 30-year-olds. So,
well, for me, it was these guys were industry guys, and I was too paranoid that all they wanted to do was make a notch out of me on their belt. And so, and they were talking about, oh my God, that one guy, he was talking about running around out in the forest, doing some weird spiritual Indian crap, and I was like, this guy's a tree hugger. I have nothing in common with a tree hugger. You know what I mean? It was just stuff like that, and I just don't have any experience that this guy's talking about. And he's a little weird and very egotistical, and so that for me at that age was a turn off for me. I did get with an older guy later, but he wasn't 16 years. He was 10, maybe 11, but that was max, because after that it was just way too significant for me at the time.
It's now I've kind of changed now in what I am seeking, because to me, men my age are now the age that I preferred when I was in my 20s. So it's like now the levels have balanced out, and I've already declared like I won't date anybody outside of 5 years, uh, plus or minus. I'd prefer the plus, but
Yeah.
I definitely won't date anybody younger than 5 years younger than me because they're still too close to that immaturity line. Um, but like now I'm at an age where I just want somebody to just grow old with, together, and we could just be a couple of old people doing weird stuff.
When you're a little bit older, who gives a crap? I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have enough.
But
You have enough experience behind you. It's all on the playing ground to
yeah,
you.
yeah, we can yell at people if we want because what's
Yeah,
we've already been there, done that. We've already done our time, but I definitely don't want anybody older now. It's because now the older gets into like a whole nother age range that I'm like, nah,
Viagra.
we don't need the senior citizens discount. Not this time. Um,
Viagra.
yeah. Yeah. And, I feel like I'm in my prime in a lot of ways but I know the manosphere disagrees with that, but I believe I'm in my prime.
But
Um,
we don't really agree with the manosphere,
I
so
know. Well,
I
that's
just
why
don't
we make fun
agree.
of them. But I mean, okay, if you want to talk about like looks, right? Looks wise, yeah, I'm sure I was a dish at age 21 and I was absolutely adorable and cute. And then I'm sure that I've transitioned and now I look more like a woman and not a young lady. Um,
Yeah, you mean a little girl?
well, yeah, I'm trying
Yeah,
not to go that route, but
yeah,
yeah, I'm sure looks wise, I'm not in my prime. But as far as I won't key your car, right? I
yeah.
won't do crazy stuff. I'm not gonna I don't know, like do all of the things that, well, I still didn't do them at 21, but I was probably a little bit more impulsive at age 20 something than I am now. And I think now this is a mature relationship. This is you're talking to a woman, you're talking to somebody who understands, who cares, who's nurturing and also not going to put up with your crap either. But in my 20s, I would say I was a little more impulsive to that thought process and a little harder to settle down in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. So yeah. You're muted.
I know. Hold on one
Oh.
second. I have to help somebody. I am sorry. Give me 1 minute.
That's all right. Take your time.
Potty break.
Potty break.
Yeah,
We
1
all
second.
All right. Well, there are people in the chat here tonight, so we're just going to entertain you. Let's go see who's here and what's going on. Hello, everybody. We'll come out of avatar mode here in just a second, but if she's going to take a break, I'm just going to take a little camera break because why not, right? So Beetle Babe, you're over here. Hello. I feel like tomorrow half of the VC is going to hate me and the other half is going to love me, but I'm glad you're here in any event and supporting our new friend Nova Star. This is she just started going live, I think she said this week on her channel, and I've known her for a while. We've interacted, so I'm really excited that you guys all came over to help support her. This is the great thing to it. So if anybody is currently over on my end watching, I would really love you to follow the link that I tabbed at the top of my chat. Follow that link over and come over onto Nova's side so that you can help support her channel and get her Oh, you're on. Never mind.
I'm sorry about that. I had to help somebody. There was no way to get around that one.
You take your time. I will entertain the chat. I hear you. Go do your thing. Go ahead. Go on. Get out of here. Go take it. Personal life. All right. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, all of the crowd, everybody watching, viewers, chatters, everyone in the clouds. Our personal lives tend to interfere sometimes with our streaming lives because most of us stream at home. So we don't get to just disappear into a place where nobody can bother us. And I think our personal lives are always the top priority. So if somebody has to step away for a moment, take a potty break, entertain the children, go make a sandwich for their husband, whatever the case may be, that should be what we, all should be doing, and allowing that and granting, 5, 10, 20 minutes, whatever you got to do, because your family comes first. Your mental health comes first. Your personal life always comes first when we're streaming. So, Nova's going to go take care of whatever she needs to take care of. And in the midst of that, I'm going to sit here and entertain you. Now, mind you, I'm not funny. All right. Girls are not funny, according to the manosphere. So don't laugh at me. Don't laugh with me, because we're not funny here. But outside of that, I'll entertain it.
Thank you for your help on that.
Yeah, man. Do your thing.
There was no way to get out of that one.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Your camera is off. Are you okay?
Yep.
Okay. Where did we leave off at? What are you drinking? Is it good?
Orange juice.
Just orange juice, nothing in it?
My star straw.
I like your star straw.
I felt like being a big kid today, and I had the option. I opened the drawer and I had I had one of these straws, like the plastic ones, which you use for all of those little.
I like that one better.
Things, and then I had like the plastic straws, like we have a pack of those. And then I had this sitting in there, and I was like, where did this bad boy come from? I'm going to use it. So here I am. That was
cute.
Mm-hmm.
I had something like that, and I was using it, and then I put it in the dishwasher, and it melted. I didn't think it was going to melt. I didn't know it was that cheap. I thought it was, at least heat resistant, Yeah,
I always put mine in the dishwasher.
Oh, you do? And they don't melt?
Well, this one I have yet to test, because this one is kind of new. But these bad boys, like these I have no issues with them. I put them right in the rack with the silverware, and they come out just fine.
Oh, well, then I must have had a super cheap one, because it just melted all over the top. I was like, okay, and it was all warped and flopping around. So, okay, but going back to all of that. So, what has life been for you like since the divorce and being a single mom?
I'm not gonna lie, like it put me on my butt a little bit.
Yes, that's the general statistics.
Yeah, it hurt. I mean, having to, financially have a really big change. I mean, I was already working before the divorce happened. I started working as soon as my son started, I think preschool. And I started off just kind of part-time, and then that molded into full-time. And then now I'm, doing my own thing. But it's kind of, it was a lot more helpful knowing that I had the financial backing with my ex-husband. And I knew I could fall on that. Like if anything happened with my job or whatever, like my money was like fun money for us. And now my money is now like it is it goes out just as fast as it comes in. And it's like, I hate this. Like I've been here once. It hurt, but that's something that I've worked on getting over. Like, okay, it's just not as pampered as well. Okay. Like I feel like I'm 22 again, first time mom and pinching pennies and doing everything that I made it to that point once before. Like I made it through. I know I can do it again. So it does, that part hurts a little bit, but, and then I'd say like the safety of being at home.
Yes.
And knowing like my husband would he was like my safety unit, in terms of, nobody could mess with me because they had my husband to answer to if they did. So that was a little more of a relief when I had that. But now it's kind of like, all right, well, now you can answer to my dogs, I guess, you know.
I know, right?
Yeah, and it kind of
Or
forces
say
me,
hello to my little friends, you
say
know?
hello to my little friend. Um, but it kind of forces me back into that more masculine position that, you know, no woman wants to be in. And now I have to feel like now I'm independent. Now I have to be the man of the house. You know, I have to be these things. I have to be strong. I have to get up in the morning. I have to. I have to. I have to. Whereas before it was like, I want to. So it's a big change, you know, kind of going backwards in an aspect, you know, in life. And or did you freeze?
I
You
don't
look
think
really
so.
still. Oh wow, you were holding really still. I was like, did you?
I'm kind of low key. Sorry
I
about that.
was like, wow,
I'm
she's
still
frozen
breathing.
again. But you know, and I would say with things that have happened to my daughter, like in her diagnosis recently, like God, that would have been more helpful if I could just go back to being a stay-at-home wife and
Yeah.
not have to like because now I can't 100% be mom, you know, and I
Oh
can't
no.
100% take care of her needs and I can't 100% anything because I'm like 20% here, 10% there, 50% there, you know, and I'm scattered amongst it all. And that kind of just hurts a little bit. But I did choose this path, right? So I own it. I'm accountable to that. Like I chose that the principles were not aligned between us, therefore I had to move on, and that's okay. Like you know, I know with every hardship will eventually come a silver lining, so I know it'll fix itself later. But it's just I know it's gonna be a little bit crappy along the way for a while, and I'm just gonna
I
have to figure it
I
out.
hope the diagnosis wasn't too serious. Is she okay?
I mean, it's a lifetime sentence for her. She'll be able to move about her day and do things as normal for the most part, but there's a lot of caveats to it for her. So there's a lot of different things that have to be monitored and watched and tended to consistently throughout the day. And in, you know, these are important factors that, you know, can be death defying if we don't.
Got
So
it.
yeah, so
Okay.
it's not fun. It's, you know, again, she will live a normal life with the exception of now she has a whole new hobby that is
Oh,
like your life depends on this new hobby. Get used to it.
ugh, I'm
So,
so sorry to hear about that. I
yeah.
hope
Well,
everything will work out.
we're trying to find a silver lining. You know, I told her cuz she's a teenager and I said, "You know, um maybe you can use this for, you know, for other young girls, you know, that are like 5, 6 years old that are
Mhm,
diagnosed the same and maybe they have somebody to look up to because you're a teenager, right? You're beautiful, you're pretty. She's so
mhm.
pretty and she's a huge athlete. So you know, I said, like, maybe you can use this as a pedestal or a soapbox per se to help show other young children that, like, hey, I've got it too. And here's what I'm still doing. So don't lose hope, you know. And she's pushing, I give her so much credit. Like she's pushing through so much of it. She's incredibly versatile and I mean, it was a rough start, you know, I think anybody could imagine it being a rough start and trying to accept it, but she's like pushing through it and overcoming it and not letting it her define her.
Well,
Not letting it define her.
you're a strong woman, so she's got a great role model.
I hope so. I still feel like I'm failing somehow, you know, when things are happening, like, you know, I always feel like what else can like I need to do something better, you know, how can I be better? And maybe that's my driving point. But yeah, I will say it bonded us even closer, especially as a teenager. Like, did you get along with your parents when you were a teenager? I
My
mean, let's be
grand
real.
my grandmother was a huge stifler. My
Hmm.
grandparents adopted and raised me from their daughter.
Hmm.
And so that was a a completely different dynamic, I think, than what some people would experience.
Mhm.
But they were old. Like, he was born in 1928. Like, they were in their 60s when they got me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and she was, I'm a preacher's daughter.
Oh.
Yes, I know, right? And so she was very, she would use religion a lot as something to stifle people and to control, whereas he
Okay.
didn't do that. So I gravitated more towards him.
Mhm.
And I got into business and stuff like that. So I was more like him in the way that I maneuvered and thought anyways.
Mhm. Isn't it funny how we pick Oh, did you freeze again? Oh,
No, I don't think so. Did I? Did I freeze
you
again?
kind of cut for a second there, but isn't it funny how we pick up the traits from our parents and our relatives and things that are surrounding us, and like we pick, like we kind of like gravitate towards one versus the other.
Yes. Well, they had
Mhm.
6 other kids, and all of them are far older than me. I know, right? Six kids. Well, you're talking about 1920 and 1934. You're
Yeah,
talking about
that
the
makes
Depression
sense.
era.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so people were having kids like that in that time frame, and my uncles and aunts and my biological mother's their daughters. So they were very wild. They were
Mhm.
wild. They were partiers. They were wild. And he had businesses, and nobody wanted to pick up the torch and be responsible and carry on. And I was the more responsible type, who can haggle and wheel and deal. And yeah, so
Fair
I
enough.
was more like that. Could I ask, which I
Yeah.
don't personally see an issue, but for people in the audience, what would you say? Do you think you did maybe something wrong in the marriage besides what he did? That because I can't say a chronic cheater would be your fault at all. But do you think you at any time you felt you did something wrong?
Um, I'm sure there, like, in hindsight, like, I don't know. I always think there's room for improvement no matter what. Maybe I was too young. I mean, I was what, 26, 27. Maybe I was too young. Maybe I was too focused on the kids. Maybe I was too focused on that. Maybe I
Mm,
wasn't.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like if we brought him on right now and said, in the beginning, when before any of this happened, or at least came about, um, or whatever, like, was she a good wife? And I think he'd 100% agree with it. I think I'm trying to but you never know. But I think he would have said, like, yeah, she's still a good person. She was a good wife.
Mm,
But I mean, maybe I just didn't do something. uh, Here's what I think. Now that I really sit and ponder on it for a whole 30 seconds. Um, he was a words of affirmation kind of guy. He had to
okay.
hear it. He had to believe everything I was telling him, and he had to be fed the words all the time, like you're good looking, you're so smart, you're so amazing. Like, he
Mhm.
needed to hear it. And I am not a person of words. Not like
Oh,
that. Right? I am
yeah.
an actions person. I like to just, like, oh, I made you sandwiches. Oh, like, I uh like folded all of your clothes and put them all away, or like, I like to show somebody. I like to make you dinner. I like to make you breakfast. I like to wake up and bring you a cup of coffee. Like, I'm a person that likes to give with the things I can do,
Yeah.
you know. But I don't feel the need to sit and tell anybody like how great they are,
I
right?
mean,
It's
it's a little immature if you have to do that.
right.
Yeah, it's a little
And
immature.
to me, I just think that, like, and I'm not gonna knock him for it. It's just what he needed. But I'm not that girl. I just I think, to me, if I told you once, I think you're really hot, that stands for the rest of time, right? If I tell you, God, I really think you're so incredibly intelligent and I love talking to you, that stands for the rest of time. Okay. if I have to continue to say the same thing every day to keep your self-esteem boosted or whatever, then to me, it's like, why would I continue to say stuff? You know, like I don't understand why I have to tell you. Why I told you once how I felt. End of story. Why do I have to keep telling you? Like, but I will continue to show you my affection and show you my love. I'm also a touch person when it comes to my spouse. I don't like anybody else touching me, but I want touch with the man I'm with. I like just touch me all the time. Hug me, hold me, grab my butt. I don't know, whatever it is, just be surrounding me at all times. Envelop me, please. So that's how I show my love, but that's not how he received it. So he just didn't think that I believed or not. He didn't believe that I thought all of these things because I wasn't telling him every day.
Okay.
So I think like hindsight, you know, and a lot of work and a lot of reading on my end, at least, like I discovered that like he needed to hear that to know it. And because I didn't feed it to him, he had to go elsewhere. And all the text messages with the girls made it make sense too. It like kind of validated my thought process.
He just needed endless amounts of attention and affirmation, which you can't feel that though.
I couldn't feel that. And
I don't even think if you did it, it would still matter. I think he would have still done that personally. Because those types of people, that's kind of like musicians, you know, and people in the entertainment industry. No offense to the musicians out there. They just need constant attention. It just never ends.
Yeah, maybe. But think about it. Like, had I recognized that early on, you know, maybe it would have fulfilled that, you know, because that's our spousal duty, right? Is to not to like, you can only make you happy, right?
Yes.
But to help fulfill each other and recognize each other's differences and what we need. Like, had I recognized that sooner, maybe that would have been different. Maybe it would have not happened that way. But it's just not who I am, and I can't. I have learned since then to be more vocal of things I think and feel. I've tried to vocalize that a lot more because to me, that's a lesson learned. Like, not everybody sees the things I do for them as an action of love. But for me to have to say it all the time, you know, like I just make sure I take that extra step to say, if they need to hear it, I'm going to ensure that they're hearing it. Because if I'm thinking it and I'm feeling it, why would I want to keep it to myself anyways?
Yeah, well, I'm not there, so I'm not going to make too many comments, but I know people like that. And to me, they just seem to be very in their own infant stage on certain things. And it's just very immature on their end.
But I never want them to have to guess how I feel.
Yes.
What am I thinking? Or
I agree.
Like that. So I transitioned that thought process into like, how can I ensure that my actions and my words are aligning and it's a clear message to them about how I feel?
Would you say that you have regrets about this? Does he have regrets? Did he come out of this with regrets?
For the divorce and for what he did?
Yeah. The decision.
I mean, I'm sure I mean, I don't know. I'm not in his head, but I if I could, you know, put my instinct on it, yeah, I'm sure he does, but there's nothing he can do about it now. Yeah. And for me, you know, it was, again, I always like to find my silver linings, but it was a really great lesson. You know, I remember sitting down and telling him like, look, I'm growing. I'm constantly trying to improve and make myself a better person. And with that comes a lot of growth, you know, and here's where we started, where I was down here and he was up here and I was growing and matching his level. But then when I started to feel like I was surpassing and he was staying here on the same line and not coming with me, that's when I felt like this isn't going to go anywhere now. Because if you're not going to grow with me with this issue and with our marriage and with our family and all of these things, then I can't stay. I
That kind of
can't.
comes down to expectations that all the articles are mentioning. Women's
How do you?
expectations in the marriage.
My expectation is really simple. Like, I don't require a lot of money, a lot of flowers, a lot of whatevers. Like, all I ask is that you grow with me and we have good intellectual conversations and able to communicate. Not even like oh, are we together? Are we like not even on a relationship level, but just able to communicate as humans because not everybody speaks the same language. But like my expectation is I'm going to continue to grow and I need you to grow with me. And if you're going to be stagnant and stop, then that means we're not in the same principles and values level of things and we don't see things the same way. And I don't want it.
That's a consensus that I've been noticing in all of the articles that I've researched.
Mm.
May I ask who filed? Did you file for the divorce or did he?
I had to because he refused to.
I don't want to deal with paperwork.
Yeah, I told him, I said, listen, like you need to go do this. This is, on you. I don't want this, but I have to do this, but I need you to do it. And he just wouldn't do it. And so I was like, fine, you forced the hand. So it wasn't a surprise or anything like that to him. Like we already decided like in late 20, it was like fall of 2019. Like we are going to get a divorce. This is
Wow.
yeah. And then 2020 happened. So we were like, let's just ride this out and see what happens until all of the dust settles with everything going on in the economy and all of that. And then by 2021, I believe I went and filed, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. So we're pretty close in parallel on that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely say, do I have any regrets and did I think I lived up to expectations? I did live up to expectations, honestly. And regrets, I don't have too many. Because he has a lot of the same issues that yours does. With a
Seems
few
to be
extra,
like the going rate,
on top of it,
Well, it's crazy to me to expect, a lot of the red pill talking points say like, well, is he taking care of you? Is he providing for you? Do you have security?
Yes.
Like, yes, and yes. And like, so, well, you can tolerate his cheating. Then it's like, but that's not what I agreed to when I got married. You have broken that contract, broken it. That's not what I agreed to.
I don't understand why they seem to think they get to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, it's not. Now, again, if it was a one-time, oops, I slipped and my D fell in her P, like, okay.
It just landed there magically.
Yeah. All right. Like it's going to take a lot of work to move forward from this.
Yeah, but you could.
But you could.
Yeah.
But to continue to do it again and again and again and again, knowing that it hurts me, that tells me you like seeing me hurt. And that's not a husband.
No,
it's null and void. You are not my husband.
No, the husband is supposed to protect you emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And you're supposed to also reciprocate that. So, yeah, no, you're not supposed to be doing that. That's not helping anybody but you. I mean them. I don't mean you. I mean them.
Yeah.
I get to do whatever I want, and then you just have to take it. So where is that even a relationship? That's more like a taskmaster and ownership. A one-sided deal. So that tells me that anybody in those spaces are incredibly egotistical and incredibly self-centered. And good luck to many of them if they think they're going to have any real success with relationships. May I ask, do you think if your sex life was healthy, or is that too much prying?
No, I enjoyed all of that with him. I was the one that was begging for more all the time. I couldn't like, and he claimed to have enjoyed it. Like when we did it, it was great, but I was the one that was like begging for it all the time. And I kid you not, he's told me quite a few times that he had a headache, and I'm like, what?
Okay,
you have a headache.
what's going on with this? Why is it when you get married to men and they want to have sex, but then when you're married, they don't want to have sex anymore? That was a problem for me. And I was being told I was a nymphomaniac, and I was like,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
what you wanted? What's the problem?
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it, like loved it. It was perfect. I have no complaints. My only complaint was that I couldn't get it enough.
Yeah.
And that
Same.
bothered me. And then when I found out other things were happening, I'm like, now that pisses me off because I'm over here literally asking you before you go to work to do it. And then you're going to work and then things are happening later, and you're doing it, but you're not. Like, I was there. I was right there, ready to go. So that really hurt a lot. That was a big self-esteem hit. So yeah.
Yeah, that was a big issue in my department, but I'm sure yours was better than mine.
I had no complaints. It was great.
He wasn't that. He was not very good.
Oh no, I will never make that claim that he was bad. Ever. He was good. He was
okay. Good. Well, we're standing on opposite sides of that podium. I'll say bad. She says good. It happens. The pendulum swings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel that you are in a great place now? Has everything moved on? Is love looking good? Are you stable? Have you recouped? Because women, when they get divorced, suffer tremendously with finances because you don't spend enough time working, you lose your way and the skill levels, and they just start you at the bottom. Oftentimes.
I was already working again before the divorce happened, and I think financially I do okay. I feel semi-stable. I feel like I could still do a little better to stabilize more. But I feel like I'm in a good direction, like where I'm going financially and life and all of those things. And I recognize that I have to give myself grace. This is something I tell my daughter all the time when she gets hard on herself for all of her medical stuff and everything. And I'm like, you have to give yourself grace. You are not going to just wake up tomorrow and be perfect and have this down and everything like that. You have to grant yourself grace. And I've granted myself grace and allowed myself the idea that, okay, we hit a few pinpoints, especially with her diagnosis and everything that happened. And I like that one, that was really rough, but okay, we've hit a few spots, but these are just little bumps. It's not the end all be all. I'm not sitting at the bottom of a pit, waiting for somebody to throw a ladder or something. I'm definitely on a good path. I'm in a good direction. So stable, I would say, in a way of I'm in a good place. Like I'm going in the right direction. Yeah.
That's very good to hear. Is he in the picture at all? Does he provide any support, even as a friendship to you and with the kids?
As far as the kids, that's a really big piece. When my daughter went through what she went through, like, we had to be at the hospital, her and I, it was a few days. And of course I had my dogs here at the house and my son, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I called him and I said, hey, I have to take her to the hospital. Here's what's going on. Like, can you come get our son? And then in addition to that, can you take care of the dogs? I don't know what to do right now.
Yeah.
And he did. He dropped by every day, let the dogs out, fed them, did that a few times in the day, really put his best foot forward for that. And he didn't have to do that, but he did, but he took our son. He made arrangements to have his mom come, all of these moving parts that I just said, I need help. And he said, I'll take care of it. And that wasn't even, it wasn't even a question. And I was incredibly great. He even went and got dog food for him because I ran out while I was at the hospital, all of these things. And he just, like when the call is made, he'll show up. He'll like, and then I don't mean that in a, I mean that by way of we recognize each other as the parent of our child. And if one of us is not 100%, then we're going to have to pick up the pace, on our end to ensure that they are. Because if one of us is not at our best, then our son is not going to have the best interest.
I agree.
So recognize, like if he called me right now and he said, I need you to come pick me. I'm stranded XYZ. I'd be like, hey, Star, I love you, but I gotta go. I gotta go help this. Or same as if I called him right now and said, I need $100 right now. No, and he would do it. He would do it because we trust, like he trusts that I'm not going to take an advantage of him, but I trust that he's not going to dangle it over my head either. So it's a really good working relationship because we both, again, we recognize our son is the best interest in this relationship as it is. And we don't view each other as that's my ex-husband and that's my ex-wife. We view each other as that's the father of my child and that's the mother of my child. And it changes your dynamic of the way you think of them. Now you respect them because that's the father of your child.
Well, at least we hope they do. Not everybody gets that.
You should.
We should. We really should. But it doesn't always happen, unfortunately.
I mean, you do have to earn it. Like if he was a piece of trash, I would probably just avoid talking about him altogether because I don't want to give them even a thought. But he's not a piece of trash. He's a really good father to his children, and and he's a really good person to me as the mother of his child. And I think with that respect going forward, it keeps things clean. It keeps things always working and always efficient for the child.
Yes, co-parenting is a good co-parenting relationship is what it's turned into. Woody has a question for both of us. How many times a week, and if that is the female average from personal observations in reference to our sex lives with our exes?
Every day, twice a day.
Oh my God, she's like me. Do you got high testosterone or something? What's going on here?
I heard that. I think that was you that told me that. And I was like,
I have high testosterone.
I was like, maybe I should get checked for this.
You should. Have you never had your testosterone levels checked?
No. Why would I?
Oh, wow.
But
there was a time. There was a time when it could have been 5 times a day, and I would have been like, "Let's go, let's go again."
Days. Yes. Like, you ready for more? And they're like,
I'm serious. I'm dead ass serious.
Let it rest, babe. And I'm like, no, more now.
I know. I think more married and ex-married women should be talking about sex lives and marriages as opposed to keeping quiet about it. Honestly, that could be a good podcast all on its own. TributaCast has a question to you. Are you willing to date my friend P. Fletch? He has a crush on you. Oh, that's cute.
I actually officially, I don't know if it's official, but I think it's official, but officially, unofficially, am seeing somebody. So
you are? Good for you.
It's been in the talking points for quite a long time. And finally making it work. So making it happen. Or I guess. So I'm excited.
Can I ask, is he a little bit younger or a little bit older?
Just a itty bit older.
Oh, that's a good match then, isn't it?
Everybody's mad now. Look at that. No. I'm never going to have any more viewers ever again. All of my male viewers just left the building.
Wait, male viewers, don't worry. Things can always go wrong very quickly, right?
I didn't say
you never know.
Him. But I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know. Is it official? I don't know. But I'm just going to presume that I belong to him and that's the way it's supposed to be. So
well, I don't have any problem with ownership. Yeah, just play it that way until he decides he makes his decision.
Self-made said everyone left the chat.
I know.
They're like, no, why?
I know. You better have a high sex drive too, because I can tell with you, you're a go-getter on that.
You know, look, I just unsubscribed to BB.
Oh,
Do you mean to tell me that you only subscribed to me because you thought there was a chance, not because you actually liked the content I put out? Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
we could always do a contest where we raffle you off to the highest bidder for a date.
I can't be raffled though. Carrie already tried to a while back, and I said, "But Carrie,
Really?
yeah." And I said, "But Carrie, what if I'm talking to somebody?" And he's like, "Oh, well." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to put myself out there in a way where to make this man upset. To think, why are you letting yourself be raffled?
Wow.
I wouldn't do that. That would be insulting. If I
Yeah,
were
that
to.
is insulting. Celebrities do it, and it doesn't mean anything for them.
I guess not.
No, it doesn't. It's all fake. They just do a contest, and they get the views and the money, and
It's for a good
over.
cause.
It's for a good cause. I mean, we could always do something like that. That would be hilarious.
OPC, Glenn is married, dude. And he lives.
Glenn Lawrence?
OPC Don, yeah, he said Glenn Lawrence calls me his YouTube wife.
Oh,
And he's my YouTube husband. But Glenn Lawrence lives all the way across the country, and he's married. So no.
Good old California like me.
Oh, is that where you're at?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm all the way in Maryland. So.
Oh, I've never been to Maryland.
You're not missing anything. You'll be all right.
I'm not missing anything. Okay. Well, do you want to talk about anything else?
It's your show.
My show? Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about wrapping it up, but I do want to give a shout out to Self-Made for being my producer and great helper in getting this thing up and off the ground, and all the graphics help that he's doing, and the tunes that he has made for it. He made some special tunes just for us. And Trippy for helping me also. He's also a great help and super cute. And I love him to pieces. And I really appreciate you coming on here. But I'm thinking we should probably wrap up because I need to eat something.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you like the two of us on this screen together, just like this, tomorrow night,
That's right.
Nova's coming over to my channel, and we're going to do a sip and stream together.
That's
we're gonna
right.
Get all sorts of cantankerous. It's going to be crazy. So get your butts right back over here tomorrow. You're going to restream, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll
She's going to restream. So either channel direction works for us both. It's going to be great. Alcohol and streaming go perfectly well together, and everything turns out perfect.
I will actually drink for this because I don't really drink, but I will drink for this. I'll have some wine with you.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Yes.
I'll get a bottle of Prosecco. We'll have some fun. But yeah. Oh, Keanu's band. Yeah. OPC Don, go ahead. Keanu Thompson. She's really fun. You would do great on there. It's really fun.
Okay. Well, introduce us. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. This is going to be a lot of fun with you. You're a blast.
Do it. Yeah. So tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, 9:15 East Coast time, 6:15 for all you West Coasters. But we will be tuning in again tomorrow night. But we're not going to talk divorce. We're going to talk totally goofy, whatever girl talk you want to talk about.
Fun stuff.
Make fun of all the Simps that did not show up because they found out it was taken.
Well, they might stay tuned because I heard you got a great ass. So if I jiggle my boobs and you show your booty, we got a show.
Hey, you know what? It might be worth it. We'll see.
It might be. And I can also stand up and shake my ass with you. Okay. If I have to, I'll do it. Okay. I don't have a pole anymore. No, I never had a pole. I'm just kidding. But if I had one, I'd do a spin just for you.
Nice. Do a little twirly twirl.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. So everybody, thank you for coming and joining us with this great, interesting topic. I'm sure the Madison's going to love the pushback. That's what I'm here for.
Manager.
Yeah. As I roll my eyes. Get ready for more pushback, gentlemen. Anyways, we love you all, and make sure you come back and join us again, and for tomorrow's Sip and Stream with Sarah. So I wish you all good night. Mwah, and offer kisses. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.